Hello everybody and welcome to this Mechcon 2018 little recap video for those of you who didn't catch the event or any of the keynote speeches that were made on the 2 days that this Mechcon covered. So, quick one on this, that the event hall was bigger than previous years, although the camera work seemed to suggest it was a lot smaller. It felt smaller anyway, watching it. But apparently it was a large venue. But it was cool to see some of the stuff that was on display there. There was some nice Catalyst Games Lab materials on show, including a really cool looking awesome statue that actually moved and had like light up PPCs in it. So it looked like the new Catalyst version, so that was nice. The event itself, the music was very up and down in quality, which has now become a PGI standard for when they're doing the live streams. The creepy Tina comments seemed to commence every time she was on screen. Lots of basement dwelling people immediately started creeping on her, which I'll knock Tina for the fact that she doesn't really seem to do much in terms of community kind of communication. She doesn't relay information on the forums, so she doesn't seem to do much in regards to even the community tab on the web page. But that's her job. I'm criticizing. Let's lay off the weird Tina comments in chat on these things, okay, people? It's just weird. There were some bizarre camera snafus that are happening. It's again is I think part and parcel at this point of any of the Mechcons. There has to be some kind of weird issues with the overall production quality that was going on. There was a really awkward bit for Darren at one point. He said, "Let's take it over to the first match," and the camera just hung on him, and it stayed there for like 40 seconds, dead air. No one knew what was happening, and he just had to continue, and the cameraman like had to hang in there with him, and the cameraman was wandering around and looking at the screens and all this stuff. It was kind of funny. It was pretty good. The first thing that they had on show was the World Championships. Now I only caught the first of these, the first 5 matches, which was between Imperial and Smoke Jaguar Guard, I think they were, or Jaguar Guard. They were the rank underdogs of the event. And this one was the stock mode version of the World Championships. And you know what? It was actually quite fun to watch. It was entertaining to see these teams go up against each other with the restrictions of single heat sinks and gear like that, and having to contend with what the actual battle mechs would have been like. And yeah, that was good. That was really fun to see. The fights felt a lot more tense. And outside of controversy in the first round, it was pretty much a crush for Imperial winning. Now, the controversy was apparently one of the keyboards on Imperial's team in the first round wasn't working, so they had to redo the round. But looking online, apparently it seems to suggest that they were aware of the keyboard issue, but they did the round anyway, and then after they'd lost, then the complaints came in. Now, this has gone back and forth. There's been there seems to be some angry people there. And other people who are not really, some people who were just on the side of Imperial. I don't really give a shit. I did think it was kind of odd that if there was an issue with the keyboard, why didn't they sort it there and then before the round started? Why did they continue with the match and then change it? Basically, it just turned it into a 5-0 crush, when it really should have been a 4-1, because Jaguar Guard deserved that win in the first round. But that side, the MWO Championship thing was fine. I didn't catch the rest of it though, because I don't really follow the very small competitive scene of Mechcon Online anyway. So, the meat of it really of this event was day one had PGI's presentation, which is a lot of the stuff you're seeing on screen now is the meat of that, which is MechWarrior 5. But before they showed any of this stuff, we had Russ opening up the presentation. He complained about a lack of prompter, because he needs a teleprompter, so he had to do all his notes on a phone. It was strange. His opening part was mainly to talk about the new T-shirt mech, which is called the Corsair. It's themed around the idea of a pirate Frankenmech, and a lot of people were looking at this for a long time. The artwork that was on show in the breaks in between and before the stream started, and they had there was guesses of it being things like the Thunderbolt 2C through to some kind of later designs. Some people thought it might have been a Houtman for some reason. It was all over the shop, but you know, it was the T-shirt mech. It was the one. The original design that they made. It was funny. He brought Randall Bills on stage, and Randall basically said, "I had like 2 days or something to write up a background for this thing." And the impression they gave was everything was kind of last minute, which is surprising. Now the artwork's good. It always is. Alex does a really good job of that. This mech actually does make more sense within the context of even MWO, because there's no shortage of piece together Frankenmechs out in the periphery, because sometimes needs must. And these things never really worked 100%, but you could make some pretty frightening one-offs. Obviously, Mechcon Line, this isn't going to be a one-off. This isn't something that you see one as like a boss. There's going to be 10 people running around in these things when it's come out. But it's a 95-ton assault. It's got a boatload of weapons. You can buy the pack now, and yeah, it's the next thing. It looks okay. I don't know how much I'll use it, to be honest, but it's there. It's not as egregious as the Roughneck or the Sun Spider in the past. Apparently, it will have a part to play in MechWarrior 5. So presumably it will be some kind of mini-boss or a boss mech that you fight during the campaign in that. So that's going to be a lot more fun, because, as I said, it'll contextually fit the setting of a single-player game, rather than MechWarrior Online's just kind of like, hey, there's 12 Atlases on one team kind of thing. So yeah, that was okay. They brought on the balance guy. I think his name's Chris, and Paul, and Paul just made out that games development was hard, like that was news. He didn't really have much to say. He also seemed to suggest everything was last minute, despite the fact Mechcon was planned months in advance. His one was faction play is going to be really great, and he just echoed a lot of Brian Ackman's stuff from 2012. There's going to be all this new in-depth stuff and political intrigue and upgrades and planets, but no actual hard details. There was nothing. In fact, the actual MechWarrior Online side of things, it was very, very slim. And any changes to faction play, apparently, we can only expect it in April of next year. So that gives them nearly 6 months to basically forget or downplay any kind of major changes to faction play, which, let's face it, we're not going to be surprised if that is the case. I mean, faction play has been consistently promised one thing and then delivered with a very, very smaller other. So I wasn't shocked there. Chris didn't really have much to say. He seemed to kind of ramble. He seemed very, very nervous to be on the stage. It's just understandable, but yeah, they didn't. Between the three of them, there wasn't really much to announce outside of Mech Pack and possibly some faction play changes. So that was that. The key thing was the MechWarrior 5 stuff. Now, MechWarrior 5 actually looks pretty interesting, a lot of promise there. I'm not going to say good, because it's still PGI. It's still PGI, right? But I'll give them credit. The trailer for MechWarrior 5, which you've probably seen on here by now, looks interesting. The mechs, the graphics look great, animations are very nice. Still no inverse kinematics, I noticed. That cicada seemed to slide across the floor rather than actually being connected to the ground. And what you're on now by now is the actual demo gameplay of Mechcon. Now this is cooperative, and MechWarrior 5 co-op looked really good, and it will be the sole reason I will buy the game, to be honest. Being able to play the campaign with 3 other people, I'm streaming that easy. I mean, me and Davros, Scuba, and Fronica are on the weeks where Virat can't join us. That's going to be so good. It's going to be a lot of fun, because you can just dick about in that. People can set challenges for you, like only do it in locusts, or as like a specific lance setups, that kind of thing. So yeah, that looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. No idea what the campaign and stuff's going to be like, but yeah, destruction seems to be high on the cards. Smashing through buildings, vehicles look great. Scale everything seemed to be scaled. You know, the mechs weren't massive and the trees weren't these tiny little things. The trees were actually a pretty decent height. All the mechs seemed to be able to take quite a beating. The new effects look good. The sound effects are very nice. I know there's no sound on these because I didn't want the sound effects, obviously. Me sort of talking over the sound effects, you not being able to hear them. I'll link the trailer, and if you want to find the gameplay itself, you just look on their Twitch channel. You can find it. I'd link it, but it would just link you to like a 5-hour or 3 or 4 hour video. So you probably want to dig it out from there. They haven't put it on their website, on their YouTube channel, but when they do, I will sort of talk about some of the stuff in that in more detail, because I guess they will, or at least I hope they do. Another thing, Russ mentioned that next year's Mechcon will probably be smaller because they didn't sell enough tickets. Now, I personally think this is indicative of the fact that in the previous 2 years, there's been a lot of BattleTech fans turning up for the HBS stuff, because at the time, you know, we were on the high of BattleTech coming out, and the previous year, you know, they were hoping for big announcements with regards to DLC and stuff, and this year there wasn't really much. Because there was just Flashpoint, and I don't think as many people went. I think there was a bit of a downplay of just how much HBS BattleTech really influenced the Mechcons, because I do genuinely think that that's why some of the people were going. But apparently next year is going to be a smaller venue again, probably keep costs down as well, which is a smart idea. What else was there? What else? Just going through the notes here. Oh, there's a Christmas giveaway if you haven't already checked it. If you log in on December 27th and play one match, you get the 7 days of premium time, I believe it is, or logging in between 26th and 28th. It was a bit back and forth, but I'm pretty sure it's the 27th now. You get 25 stocking stuffer items, which is the stuff where you get random goodies in Mechcon Online. Some C-bills, so it's 6 million, some premium time, a Warhammer 2C hero, and a Corsair hero. So that's pretty good. Release date, MechWarrior 5 release date is expected September 2019. Now, some people are pretty dubious about that as a release date. Sorry about the squeaky chair. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised to see that release date shift a month or two. You know, more toward a delay than it being out earlier. So I do think it will be 2019, but I don't think it will be exactly September. Be nice if it was, but I don't think it will. And that's no bad thing. Delays are usually better because it means they can actually get more of the stuff finished. You can see in the build that they're showing on here that there's still a few things that are a little bit rough at times. LRMs, for instance, seem to travel at odd arcs. So, you know, I'm sure there's stuff they're working on, but so far, that looks pretty good. A lot cleaner, nicer looking, good scale, nice walking around inside the dropship, that kind of thing. But as I said, if they do the gameplay footage and if they just do the gameplay footage without any of the crowd noise, it's just the sound, I'll talk about that in a separate video. So yeah, day 2 was the Catalyst stuff, which was interesting because they showed off the new box sets, the beginner box and the new starter box of BattleTech, which have the new minis based on the new designs for some of the unseen, so things like the Griffin, the Thunderbolt, the Shadowhawk, and some of the redesigns of things like the Locust as well. There's also the Awesome and Battlemaster, so they look really nice. Can't wait for those minis. That in the States, I believe the beginner box, the one that has 2 minis, is which has the Griffin and Wolverine, I think, is out this month sometime, and then the bigger box is out, I think, January. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be so good. And it looks like it's going to have some new hex boards, which is nice because I need more hex boards. So they showed us some of the other stuff, like new novels, or talking about some more source books and bits and pieces like that. Now, the other thing, Harebrained Schemes. This was actually the most disappointing part of Mechcon for me. Now, clarification. Jordan and Mitch, very entertaining guys. They engage. They know how to work a crowd. They have fun playing BattleTech, which did surprise some people in chat. I don't know why. I think most people are very cynical. I think most devs are jaded. I think they're just too used to Russ looking really miserable. I've seen plenty of devs who enjoy playing their own games and other stuff in the past. But yeah, I mean, like, Jordan and Mitch, they were having a whale of a time. They were showing off the new Flashpoint stuff, and their match was, you know, full of silly moments, and it's entertaining for that reason. However, they had literally nothing to show. They had nothing to show about Urban Warfare. They had nothing to discuss about Urban Warfare, or even the general future of BattleTech. For instance, we don't know whether past Urban Warfare and the third expansion in the Season Pass is that the end of development for the game. There was a Q&A that was very brief after that, because they were having so much fun playing the game, they actually started to run out of time, because they only had an hour for the presentation before they had to go to the World Championships. So they started to have a Q&A session, and most of the questions were based around things like, how many more mechs are we going to see in the game? And a lot of the questions that they asked were evaded with things like, how many mechs are there in BattleTech? Well, that's not really the question. The question was, how many more mechs? And even if it was just the same, if the next 2 packs were going to have the same, so does that mean we're going to get 3 and 3 again? So is it 6 more mechs? Is it going to be 12 more mechs? Are there going to be mech DLC packs? That, they just dodged it. There was the question regarding more lances. Will we be able to control 2 lancers in the game? They just evaded that by asking, do you want to see that? And everyone says yes, of course. And they just said, well, we want a lot of things, basically. It was just a frustrating Q&A. If the question had been, will you answer any questions, that probably would have helped a lot more, because they could have said no. They weren't in a position to answer any questions. Not that I'm saying that they don't want to, I'm just saying that they quite possibly didn't have any answers for anybody for anything. The question about Unseens came up, obviously, regarding Warhammer Marauder. They gave a slightly longer answer. The first one was, yes, we will add them, but it seemed to suggest they would add them when Harmony Gold's license over them, or their agreement runs out, not that they were going to add them. They said no in Urban Warfare, and left a big ambiguous question mark over the third one. I doubt we'll see them in the third one either. A question came up about continued mod support. Will the modding scene have more tools at their disposal, the ability to... But I think that was another question regarding the idea of being able to basically add the mechs yourself. If it was possible for modders to be able to basically create mech packs and start adding in other battle mechs, could they do it? And that was another, oh, we support the mod scene, we're going to do it, it's going to be, yeah, we'll add more mod things later. They were very, as I said, they were extremely non-committal. Very frustrating, very disappointing. It was the bit of the whole thing I was actually looking forward to was the HBS stuff, because I was hoping there was going to be some discussion about Flashpoint, some discussion about Urban Warfare, some discussion about any kind of future of the game going forward, and there was nothing. So, yeah. You know what? The event actually felt a lot smaller. There was actually less to discuss on this one compared to the previous years. An overall takeaway from it was that it was definitely more organised. One of my criticisms of Mechcon last year was that they brought in a lot of the streaming community and didn't really seem to do much with them. Like last year, they just sort of went, "Here they are, folks." They had them all stand on a stage and went, "Aren't they great? Aren't they amazing?" And then just, "Okay, get out of here, you scamps." And that was it. You know, a bunch of people just appeared on stage, got congratulated, and then nothing was done with them. This year, they actually had them doing things. They were interacting. They were on the Twitch chat. They had them using the Piranha Games account when they were talking to people. They were using them for dead air, for interviews. They were talking to them about streaming. There was a weird Q&A bit where every time the question was, how did you get into BattleTech, all they talked about was how they got into MechWarrior, because BattleTech is the tabletop game. And it seemed like nearly everybody's answer there was, oh, I got into it when I played MechWarrior 2, or I played Mech Assault, or I played this. And it was sort of like, well, so the question really should have been, when did you get into MechWarrior? Because, yeah, that was a weird response. Anyway, it was better use of the community, better use of the streamers this time, which is that was good. Because I don't see the point in having these people there if you're not going to use them as a resource, because that's exactly what they are. They promote your shit, for God's sakes. Yeah, so I Twitch streamed a good chunk of the first day. There was a good number of people who joined, myself and Davros the Bro, and for a bit Gubru and Frunica. We were talking about that. That was a laugh. I think that's still on my Twitch channel if you do want to hear our inane ramblings live at the time. So thanks to everyone who joined us there. That was a good laugh. That was fun. It's probably something I'll do next year when they come back again for 2019. I think that's pretty much it. I don't know if there's much else I can really talk about there. As I said, hopefully there'll be a more in-depth gameplay thing coming up in a little bit. Hopefully they'll get a gameplay thing up on their channel, and I can sort of go through that footage. I'm just looking at the time, trying to sort of chop this down, but I'll probably just edit out at the end there. So yeah, that was Mechcon 2018. It's blink and you miss it in a way. It did seem very, even though it was long, as in length of time, it didn't really seem like between things there was much to talk about. But MechWarrior 5 looks promising. I am looking forward to seeing that, actually having a go with it. And yeah, Catalyst has some good stuff, and unfortunately HBS was a tad disappointing. So thanks for listening, everybody. Have a good one, enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.